future. We will be live. We are live now.
Excellent.
Welcome. Smarter San Diego here, of course. Derek Evans, your host. And I got a couple of guys here with me today.
couple of these two.
Couple of guys. Andrew Paul, my good buddy, who Cornerstone Military Lending Vice President, runs the show there. And Mike Poehler's here from CityMark Development. We got a big topic, fellas. I mean, this dropped down. One of the things that has concerned me, especially about the coastal real estate market, a lot of things have sort of kept property values high for a long time. Low interest rates were a part of that. High demand, low inventory, all these things contributed to that. And one of the things, too, that no one really talked about was the Airbnb market, or essentially the vacation rental market. And you can make things pencil out in a lot of different ways with those calculations on those coastal properties. Like, oh, why is that $2 million? Well, you could vacation rent it and get 10 grand a month. That's why.
Yeah, it makes sense at that kind of rental income.
Yeah, because you could never rent it to an annual renter for 10 grand a month.
Right.
No, you'll probably get that 7.
Yeah, or 5, or 5,500.
Right.
So now that the city has come in and said, no more, unless it's a primary residence, unless it's attached to your primary residence or on your primary property, no more. That's a big
So that's
ruling.
the big announcement, right? Just Monday night, the city council voted 6-3 on this. A lot of heated debate. And this is changing the numbers big time.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. So we got a lot of cool things to talk about on this. I think this is going to a major, this is what you would call legislative risk, right? Market risk, this is called legislative risk. And here the legislature or the city council came in and just changed the calculus.
That's right.
So there's a lot of changes here, right?
Get out your abacus. Let's see how much your house is worth today. Because if you own on the beach, now you may not even be vacation renting your home. If you own on in Pacific Beach or Mission Beach or something, let's say you've never had a vacation renter. You've always had a permanent rental, but you've been watching your property value go up. Unfortunately, you too will be affected by this. Yeah. I mean, you could have lost $300,000 or $400,000 to the value of your home like that. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'd be curious to see if anyone has anything in escrow. We are live right here on Facebook, so drop us your comments. Tell us what you think about the ruling of the city. Did they get it right? Was this the right move to make? Have they overstepped their legislative bounds here and being able to tell people, no, you can't do that with your property or not? And if anyone has one that's in escrow that maybe nervous to get a phone call, like if I had a $2 million home in Pacific Beach in escrow right now,
right,
sweating bullets.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really what it's doing is it's pushing a lot of investors that are so drawn to San Diego out, because now they can't capitalize on the full potential of the income that they're going to receive. So there's just going to be people fleeing, and it's going to really suppress the housing market. So you're, like you were saying, prices are going to go down, and it's definitely going to affect a lot of people. So
yeah, and it's San Diego City too. We should make that clear. It's not the county of San Diego.
Yeah,
right.
The city of San Diego. So like Del Mar has its own rules.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know, for example,
Imperial Beach. So this ruling does not apply to Imperial Beach, as I understand it.
That's correct.
Right, because Imperial Beach is a separate city within the county of San Diego.
That's right. In fact, Imperial Beach has its own rules, and they say vacation rent the hell out of it.
I'm pretty sure, actually, too, and there's only a certain block on Seacoast Drive that they allow, like, actual weekend rentals, like Airbnb, VRBO. CityMark actually built a Project Beach Break over there, and they're renting out one of the units through Airbnb, and they're just crushing it right now. I think it's booked up to the end of September right now, and they're making some really good money on it. So IB has their own set of rules, which would be, maybe great if we can kind of figure out in San Diego City itself, or how to kind of make it work for both sides, so to say.
Yeah. So what are the arguments on the other side? People who are in favor of this city council ruling. So people wonder sometimes, well, why did they do that? And there's a couple of things that I look at on this that could be good, for some people. First of all, California has this feature in its constitution that allows people to get enough signatures they can put something on the ballot. And so one of the things that's coming up on the ballot this fall is rent control. And what's happened in San Diego is, of course, affordability has become really difficult, right? Not just home prices, but also the rental market. People are having, and as a result, it's heated up enough people to say, we need rent control. That's a separate argument. I don't want to talk, but one of the things that has contributed to the rising cost of prices and rents is short-term rentals like this. And I explained it to one person like this. Let's say that there's 5 homes available to be rented. And 3 of the owners go, you know, screw that. I'm just going to do short-term rentals now because I can get a lot more money that way. Well, now there's only 2 other units left for all the people who just need to live in San Diego that are now, they're fighting over the remaining 2, which is just simple supply and demand. With only 2 left, they're pushing the rental that way, right? So it is definitely, short-term rentals have definitely contributed to higher home prices, higher rental costs, and the overall affordability of the average San Diego resident. So maybe that will cool things off a little bit, you know, for the average person. But that might not be a bad thing.
Yeah, the other side would be that, you know, don't tell me what to do with my freaking house. You know what I mean? Like, it's my freaking house. I'll do what I want with it, you know? Like, who are you to tell me I can't sell this place by the night to, you know, to someone else? I mean, like,
by the hour,
whatever. I could do it's my house. So, like, I mean, you know, understood in HOA situations. You know, there's guidelines. You know that going into it. Hey, there's bylaws here that we have to abide by, and you know I can't overstep those bounds. There's a governing body. But when you buy a house that's yours, detached, your property, someone telling you what you can and can't do with that, boy, that's
the civil libertarian in me agrees with you completely.
That is a tough one to swallow.
It's a hot topic.
That's a tough one to swallow. That said, there are other macro factors, you know, that you're talking about, like rent control.
Oh, we're getting some comments here.
Brooke says, it's hard to hear what you're saying because you're so hot. Thank you, Brooke. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Right. No,
we have some fans here.
Hey, it's always nice to have some fans, you know?
Nice
Can't complain.
Now, but that said, the things you're talking about, those macro elements of rent control, rising prices, affordability, those do require some consideration. I think a lot of people immediately jump to the conclusion that it's the hoteliers, it's Manchester, it's these guys, they're in there, they're lining people's pockets so they'll vote against this because they feel like they might lose business, and that's understandable too.
Hey, that is a market force, right? This article that I read said that, the estimate is that since Airbnb or short-term rentals hit the market here in about the last 10 years, they estimate that the short-term rental market is 11,000 units in the county of San Diego.
Okay.
So that's 11,000 units that could otherwise be rented by a hotel, right? So people come in, that's 11,000 units that hotels are competing with. So for sure the hotel industry has a stake in this, and this hotel industry is probably hurting a little bit, having to compete with 11,000 other units that didn't exist, these other residential folks, right? So that's a piece of it.
There's also where's the enforcement kind of situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, because we've heard there's been a few people who've been made examples of. I know the guy who had the unit in the Mark downtown who got fined $110,000.
Yes.
For what? Whoa, what happened with that?
He was vacation renting and he got warned. He was told not to do it anymore, and he said, "Screw you."
Yeah.
Warned by who?
From
the
the HOA? Yeah. So I'm very familiar with downtown HOAs and the rules and the short-term rentals. And the thing is that a lot of buildings they're all different. So each building may have 26 days as a minimum rental or a year. So it depends on the quality building or what the HOA actually establishes. So for the Mark, I believe it's 1 year minimum rental. It's definitely a higher luxury building for downtown. And they don't take it lightly. For example, right now, Comic-Con's going on.
Yes.
In the building that I live in M2I, which is downtown, and they actually used to fine people only, I think it was $500 for your fee. So realistically, if you're thinking about the numbers, if you can rent to someone for $500 a night from Wednesday to Sunday, you're going to clear, a couple grand. So
it's going to fine is nothing.
It's going to be nothing, exactly. So, but now the buildings are smarter. So what they're doing is they're making $5,000, $10,000, or even $25,000 or $100,000 fines, depending on the situation. And the board votes on that, but it's just, it's people abuse it.
They have to. I mean, if the fine is so low that it doesn't have an impact, then what's the point of the fine? I mean, that guy getting $100 grand, that definitely sucks for that guy. But to your point, if they're only fining him $500 and you can rent it out for 7 nights at $800 a night, guy does the math real quick and goes, here's your $500 fine. Thanks very much for the other $4,000 I just made.
How do you police it? Like, how do you determine that something was done? I mean, they've done some scouring on Airbnb and VRBO to kind of look for advertisements and stuff like that. But if you really were doing it, like, in a way that no one knew, or that you were just advertising it, like during Comic-Con, for example, you put it on Craigslist. Hey, in downtown, you don't give a unit or the building, but like, hey, in downtown, discrete unit available for rent.
That's
Call.
about the only way that you could do it, because the catch-22 there is that if you want to rent your place out on a short-term rental, you kind of have to advertise it, which then exposes you to being caught. So the system's kind of balanced like that, right? You have to go real under the radar, like you're saying, like.
For Comic-Con, it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
It's crazy.
It is, yeah.
It's a crazy amount of money you can make.
I don't know. Ask the guy who just got fined $100 grand. It may not be worth it.
He made his own bed.
Yeah.
They warned him.
Yeah.
He
See, I
got
don't know the
official
details.
warning. He got official warning
Probably
from
served,
the HOA.
but so.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Nah, you guys can't do nothing." Yeah,
And that's usually how they go about it too. They usually give you a warning first, and then they will, give you a fine after. But yeah, it's just,
so
you got to learn your lessons.
Yeah, until you get warned. Well, go for it.
And another thing too is, like, if you have a walk-up unit in a building, you could just put a lockbox on there, walk in and out. No one would know. So to your point, how do you police it? You really can't, unless you have the Airbnb police or the HOA police, like going around and searching. It's almost impossible to regulate that.
I think this is a game changer for the market.
Yeah.
In general, because there is a big, if it's 11,000 units, that's a lot of homes.
Yep, 11,000 units. This is what it says here. In the decades since Airbnb popularized the home sharing industry, San Diego's estimated inventory of vacation rentals has grown to more than 11,000. The majority of which are entire homes that are being rented out for short-term stays, according to the data analytics firm Host Compliance.
So let's say, the majority, let's say it's 7,000 or 8,000, 7,500 homes, that wouldn't fit under the new rules, which are that, it could be an attached casita or, whatever on the same property. So let's say 7,500 homes. So that's 7,500 units today that, as of this week, I think, took a haircut in value.
Yeah.
Took a significant haircut in value. Could we see inventory hit the marketplace? Could this be the first domino that we've been waiting for of, okay, here comes the inventory. Once the inventory comes, interest rates are a little higher.
Well, for
Maybe
sure it enters the calculus. Like I was talking to a guy the other day who, was looking to buy this home, and it bid way up in price, and he was like, "Well, I can Airbnb this thing, so it makes sense for me." Well, that doesn't make sense anymore, right? So it definitely will change the calculus. I mean, and think about this too. Like the average family that's trying to buy a home, like they can't justify paying $650 for a house that only comps out at $600, but the investor who's just looking at dollars and cents and ROI certainly can. And so, look, maybe it takes that guy out of the competition now and does make it more affordable for the average homeowner, which may not be a bad thing. I mean, the affordability in San Diego, what's the median home price in San Diego now?
500,000 easy.
That's including attached.
That's including that's including attached.
So
if you're talking about
over
detached,
6.
you're like looking at like 680.
It's definitely close to 6, if not 600,000. Detached.
Right.
Attached, it might be in the 5s, low 5s, or something like that. If
That's
you include
hard. That's hard for the average family to be able to afford that.
Yeah.
So there's a piece of me that looks at this and goes, it ain't all bad.
Yeah, there's definitely two sides to the coin. I do think we need something to slow this train, and ideally it won't be like a wall. It would just be like something small, because we don't really
a little
want
headwind maybe.
Yeah, a
little
headwind. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. We don't want to derail the train.
Yeah, no.
No, that's not healthy either.
That's not healthy.
Yeah.
And I don't think this derails the train.
Yeah.
But this could be that headwind that helps us go, all right, let's get back to reality here. Let's look back. Let's start making normal calculations about how to value properties, instead of going, well, you could Airbnb it, and that makes it worth $2 million. Now it's 1.5. So I mean, I think this is sort of that's a warning shot, because when is it? Is this effective immediately?
I believe so.
I think I read an article. It goes into effect July 2019. So we got a year to kind of figure it out.
So that all right, that's helpful. If it's July 2019, so if it's a year, then I would say sell right away. I mean, that's my feeling. If you have a property that you bought and you believe its valuation is based on and justified by the vacation rental element,
right?
I think it makes sense to pull the trigger on it right here. And we have a good market. We've been up for 7-8 straight years.
Yeah.
Take your money.
And especially summertime is always a good time to list. You can
Yeah.
never go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take your money, take your profit, and don't gamble with it. And even though IB does have those rules where you can do it by the night, essentially like a hotel, we also don't know if that'll change.
Yep.
at some point in the future. So that's the other thing. It's a risky game.
Yeah, the other cities could follow San Diego, and just say, you know what, we're going to follow what they did, and there's going to be no more Airbnb, and then that really hurts.
You know what I'll bet you though, and I don't know, and I don't want to pretend like I'm the Santee expert here, but Santee is sort of like the Texas of San Diego County.
Okay. I'd agree.
No, seriously. And what I mean by that is they're very pro-business. They're not into this, let's strap everybody down, let's handcuff people.
It's not a nanny state.
Yeah,
right?
they're like, Look, yo, you want to do business here? Cool. In fact, they're giving businesses incentives to move out there. They gave several breweries huge monetary incentives to move out there, and it's created a huge industry out there. I bet you that Santee does not follow suit with this. I bet that's one place where you could potentially get. Now, it's not a huge vacation
I was gonna
area.
say, but listen, who's vacationing to Santee? I have friends that live in Santee, but that's not a vacation destination like the coast is. That Santee is
will
pretty
we still
far.
be saying that in 10 years, though? What I'm saying is there might be an opportunity there.
What's the difference between Santee and Arizona from vacation destination perspective? I just feel like you're in San Diego County, but you are not like the temperature is 20 degrees different. You're not close to the water. I don't think it has the same draw, but
maybe not right now.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
We'll see.
My friends in Santee are throwing tomatoes
what a pro-business, mayor and city council can do for an area. If you want to see what that does, go to Santee. If you haven't been there in a while, you'll really notice it.
Yeah.
Even La Mesa too. Like La Mesa is really coming up. Downtown Lemon Grove. Those are little pockets that are really becoming really popular. But I kind of agree with Andrew on that point, where as far as vacation and people coming from out of the state or just out of the county, they want to go by the beach. People aren't going to want to drive 20, 30 minutes to go to the beach and spend the whole day there. It's just, it could be 10 years, it might be a possibility. I'm not saying it might not be, but I just think that always there's going to be a draw to the beach, being close to the central locations, and that's the most appealing thing to why people want to come vacation here.
Yeah, no question.
So on that note too, not that it changed the topic too much, but like when I think about here in San Diego, there's not a lot of like beach access hotel, right? Like you go, okay, downtown, none of the downtown hotels are beach hotels.
Del Mar,
there's La Berge, right? There's
Del Mar Beach Hotel.
Okay, but like that's one.
Yeah,
right.
Not very many.
And then you get down into La Jolla, there's a couple. But if you wanted to come to San Diego and vacation on the beach, you get the Hotel Del in Coronado.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what else?
Not much.
That's the only.
That's why they don't like the price competition.
So this is also an issue. If you want to say like San Diego is a beach destination, like where do you vacation on the beach in San Diego? Like,
yeah, that's a great point.
Or staycation for that matter. We talk about people in Santee. They're probably some of the people who are renting out the vacation rentals. I know we did it for one Halloween. We said, let's do a staycation. And we rented out this really cool beach house. We split it like 6 ways. It was a great deal for like 2 nights of the weekend. It was Halloween weekend. It was crazy sick house right on the water, like on the boardwalk. And it was like $200 each or something like that. It was awesome.
And by the way, that's a great point too. Like we've done this several years in a row where we've had our family come in from out of town. Like my parents came in from New Hampshire, my wife's family came in from Texas, and my in-laws, my brother and sister-in-law who were in LA, and we rented this huge house up in Encinitas that had a big. We've done it for Thanksgiving and we've done it for Christmas, where it's so big we can have all the families in the house. We can do Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner in this big, really great gourmet kitchen. You can't do that in a hotel. So we were able to take everybody, descend on Encinitas, have a cool destination, like holiday together. We did the Christmas tree in this home and everything. Well, that's, I guess, gone now.
I think the only way you can do it is you have to make it a business. So you'd have to have a place that you essentially turn into a venue. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is a destination venue. This is a wedding venue. It's going to have to be one of those kinds of homes where you turn it into a business. And I don't know. I think the zoning is what makes it because they're saying it has to be a primary residence. And actually, it's not the zoning. They're saying it has to be a primary residence in order to do the vacation rental. So I don't even know if that would work.
I don't think you can.
Or you'd have to register as a hotel or something. There's a way you could probably do it.
Yeah.
But it would have to be a permanent business structure with the property.
And so then the other competing thing to this too, which we didn't bring up, is that I hear this because I have a friend that has several properties that he does pretty well with Airbnb, and the part of the way he makes it work is he's really cool with the neighbors, because I always hear that neighbors are often not cool with different people coming and going all the time, right? You have people you don't know. You never know who's coming and going. And I've heard some stories, right? Like some films getting made in some of these places of the unsavory type. And, because it's just like, hey, a one-night deal, right? So, the neighbors often don't care for the house being next to them being rented out and turning over with all these different people coming and going. So I don't know, maybe that's a piece of it too.
It's definitely a piece of it, especially in some of the areas where people are closer together, like Del Mar, for example. That's why the Del Martians are totally against it, just not having it. As far as vacation rental, the restrictions are super tight, and that's not going to change. They will not change that. But it's, in fact, the city tried to somehow, and there's an article in Union Tribune about this, the city somehow tried to tell Del Mar, no, you need to loosen it up a little bit, and they were like, hell no.
Wow.
Really? Wow, I didn't know that.
The city of San Diego, because it is blurred there a little bit. The 92014 is technically Del Mar, but if you look at where the actual lines are drawn, I don't know how they don't get these things exact, but it's like, it goes all the way down to almost to Camino Del Mar, where the city line is.
Oh, the Del Mar
still in 014.
San Diego line is such a pain in the neck. I had some whacked out dude on drugs walking by my house, and I called the police. And first of all, it took me like 15 minutes to get somebody like on the phone, all for them to tell me that, oh, over on Longboat? No, you need to call this people. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, y'all need to figure that one out, man. I mean, luckily I wasn't in actually any real danger, but that guy was long gone by the time anybody ever showed up, if they did at all.
That's why it's tough to rely on someone else for those types of things. Another story, but
something I know too, that what the city tried to do was actually exclude Mission Beach from the Airbnb, and it didn't end up getting excluded. So I was reading some statistics, and don't quote me on this, but I believe it was something about like 78% is all vacation rentals in Mission Beach.
Oh, wow.
And so that's a huge number right there, right? So, I mean, what is going to happen to all those people that are Airbnb-ing these out? And I mean, in my mind, I'm assuming that one person, that's not their primary residence. I mean, most people that live at that beach, they come maybe for the summer for 1 month, and then they rent it out the other months. But that's really going to affect that specific niche of the neighborhood, and it's going to be really I'm going to be really curious to see what happens over the next year on if there's going to be more sales, if it's going to, people are going to be jumping ship because they can't make that extra 2, 3, or double their rent that they could if it was just a long-term rental. So it's going to be really interesting to see over the next year if it's going to make prices go up, down, stay the same.
Price expansions in that area were so explosive. I think you're definitely going to see the bubble burst a little bit.
Yeah.
But what a great opportunity if you are in a situation where you either had a kid who's going to college, or you yourself are just like a bachelor or whatever, to actually go down and buy and live in one of those 4 or 5 bedroom places in PB, and then legitimately vacation rent the other 4 bedrooms and probably live for free.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, rent for free, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can still do it legally. You just have to abide by that rule. It's got to be your primary residence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't say that you have to be out of the place when you rent it out. So, hey, turn the lights down. I'm going to sleep. Keep it down the hall.
Yeah. Or you could just be your primary residence for. I mean, there's a number of probably loopholes there to try to pick. If you can, I think if you can conquer that loophole, you can make some serious money.
The question too is though, it's like, what happens if there's like a duplex or 4plex? I mean, one of those are your primary residence, but would they include the other 3 addresses?
If it's attached.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I think they talked about that in this article.
Check that out and see if you can find it, because the other thing that we're sort of assuming, which is probably not going to be true, is that people will immediately go, it's over, need to sell the place. I think a lot of people will probably resist. I think some of these out-of-town owners probably don't even know this happened. So where's the enforcement? That's the other thing. That's the big thing. Rules are only as good as the enforcement behind them. And if there's no enforcement, or what's the penalty? Say anything about the penalty, Andrew?
I got nothing. So this vote just happened, 2, 3 nights ago. The only thing, this is what I found in the article. One exception was made for San Diegans who have additional units on the same property as their residence, as in a duplex. In those instances only, a resident would be able to get a license for a second vacation rental. While not part of Monday's action, council members said they would like to revisit the issue of granny flats, which under current rules could not be used as vacation rentals. So if you are legally a 2-unit, it sounds like you could get a license. So it's all just gonna, look, it's all about licensing and tax
dollars.
revenue. Yeah, right.
Dollars.
Always.
Well, this is going to be extremely interesting to see how it plays out. I think I would be ahead of the game if I owned down there. I'd want to sell now, or at least I would want to be on the market before there's a lot of competition. Because I think if you wait a year until it's officially enforced, the first couple people get slapped, and that's when the real wave would probably come. So maybe if you're looking to buy or do something creative, it might be worth waiting to see kind of what happens in that area. Yeah. But I think if you own, unless you're a long-term owner, you don't give a damn, you got long-term owners in there, doesn't matter. Right. But if you're counting on that vacation cash, bye-bye.
Yeah, that's an issue.
At least legally. All right, great stuff, fellas. Really hot topic, tremendous. Closing thoughts?
I'm just really curious to see how it's going to play out. Like I agree with you. I think now the time, if you're banking on that vacation rental income to, pay your mortgages or make some profit, it's going to fall pretty soon. So you're going to fall from grace. I mean, might as well not wait the last minute and get ahead of the game, like you're saying. That's my advice. Yeah,
I think we'll see a lot of people test the long-term rental market who've been short-terming, possibly. Yeah. Who want to follow the rules. They'll probably stick some ads out there and kind of see, well, what can I actually get? Can I still make it pencil or not? And I think that'll probably determine a lot of things too.
Yeah, I think my last thought on it is just that I think it's going to be very different depending on different pockets within San Diego. Like Mike, you're really strong downtown, right? Because you live down there, right? I don't think that this ruling affects downtown too much, because I think, and maybe you can add to this, but I think downtown, most of the complexes downtown already have rules in place restricting this.
That's correct.
Right? I think where is going to have a bigger impact is places like Mission Beach or other parts of the city that are close to destinations. Like maybe it's close to the Del Mar Fairgrounds, or maybe it's, that's a bad example because Del Mar has rules already. But I think like other places where if you were going to come in and go to a conference and you thought, I think I'll skip the expensive hotel downtown and I'll rent an Airbnb, or a couple of us buddies will get a place maybe in Mission Hills and just take an Uber down to the conference or something like that. I think those things change on the numbers. I think downtown, most of the complexes already have rules in place.
Yeah, the thing is that in downtown, it's all condominium buildings. So like we were saying before, it's all blanketed by the HOA. They protect it. So I think the issue is really coming in is the detached homes, the ones that don't have regulations, where it's the owner's decision to do whatever he pleases. Obviously within the rules of our law, but I mean, it's kind of free formed. So I think downtown we don't really see any of that issues, because each building already has been established. We had that circumstance at the Mark that the guy got fined $100K, but they're on it. They're crawling the web to see who is looking at who's posting on Airbnb or VRBO or etc. So I don't think that we're going to really experience that downtown. It's more of the beachy neighborhoods, the other neighborhoods that are high destination areas.
Yeah, Mission Beach, Pacific Beach, especially. Yeah. Great stuff, guys. Thank you guys so much for both being here. Tremendous topic, tremendous segment. You are now officially smarter than everyone else. Make your friends smarter too. Share this video. We appreciate you watching.